Reims is a city in northern France in the Champagne region and is often referred to as the capital of Champagne. It is also a city steeped in history from its reputation as the coronation capital of France to being at the center of two world wars. The vineyards of Champagne persevered through this history and continued to produce our beloved beverage. If you want a sneak peek into the production of Champagne, there is no other place on earth to get a better in-depth look. The sheer number of tours on offer may be overwhelming, so we took the liberty of highlighting some of the best tours that are available. It is worth noting that there are no bad Champagne tours in the region, but these 8 are simply going to take the experience to the next level. You will find the links to book these experiences in the description of the video. Number 1. A 1.5 hour Champagne experience with tastings. A Champagne is a commune in northern France known as being the center of Champagne production. This 90-minute tour will take you into one of the traditional vineyards the region is renowned for, and you will get an insight into the history of the region as well as the secrets of wine Champagne cultivation. You will be fascinated by the history of the cellars buried 35 meters underground before tasting some of the best Champagne you have ever tasted. Whichever of the 1 to 3 tasting options you go for, you will thoroughly enjoy the experience against the backdrop of the beautiful UNESCO World Heritage Center listed area. Depending on how many tastings you choose, your trip will last between 1.5 hours and 2 hours. Number 2. From Reims, Taittinger Champagne Morning Tour and Tastings. This 4-hour tour combines a tour of the historic city of Reims with a tour of the renowned cellars of the Taittinger Champagne House and will be capped off by a visit to a family-run boutique winery. The tour will start off at 9 a.m. and will take you through the sights of Reims such as the Notre Dame de Reims that has long been recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You will be immersed into the city that served as the coronation venue of the countless French monarchs. This will be followed by a trip to the famous Taittinger Champagne House where you will explore the prominent cellars and enjoy a glass of fine champagne. Finally, you will be taken to a family-run winery where you will gain an insight into Méthode Champenoise, a traditional champagne-making technique, and sip on the finest sparkling wines that it produces. The tour will see you back in Reims at 1 p.m. with a whole day ahead of you. Number 3. Reims, Morning Champagne Tasting Class. This comprehensive class will give you a brief background on champagne production and give you a newfound appreciation of the elegant beverage. Expert guides will give a fascinating background into the history, geography, and economy of champagne making at this class held in the center of Reims. The experience will be taken to the next level with nose and palate workshops that will train your nose to identify different flavors and aromas. Moreover, you will be given tips on everything from tasting champagne to opening a bottle. You will then be able to put this newfound knowledge to use during the 3 champagne tasting that will be accompanied by aperitifs and French specialties. Number 4. Champagne, Honeymoon or Anniversary Celebration Private Tour. This 7-hour tour is an excellent choice for lovebirds celebrating their honeymoon or anniversary. You will be picked up from your hotel in the morning and be taken to one of the finest estates in Champagne, Pommery Champagne. Immerse yourself into the history of Champagne as you make your way through the storied cellars of the famous estate. After an incredible tasting, you will be whisked away to another renowned estate, VEVE, where you will indulge in another wine tasting. You will then devour a lunch at a traditional restaurant before moving further with your tour. The tour will continue with a perfect spot in the middle of vineyards to take in the beautiful scenery that will take your breath away. Your final stop will be at a local winemaker where you will be treated to fascinating stories about champagne and how to differentiate between the different varieties of the beverage. You will enjoy 3 more champagne tastings here before being taken back to your hotel. Just for good measure, you will be taken to another amazing spot for photographs on your way back. Number 5. VEVE and Family Winery Group Full Day Tour. This is one of the most immersive champagne tasting tours on offer as it lasts 9 hours and takes your palate through an astonishing 10 tastings. The tour will start at the Reims train station and you will be taken across the city steeped in history. You will then be taken to the world-renowned VEVE, passing by the famous Pommery and Taittinger Champagne houses along the way. Your first champagne tasting will be at VEVE as you are introduced to the champagne making process. The tour will continue by taking you through the famed champagne vineyards and reveling you in stories of the winemaking process. You will then be taken to a restored champagne house where you will take part in a workshop and test your taste buds as you taste some champagne blindfolded. It is here that you will also indulge in a lunch that highlights the best of local produce such as Reims ham and pâté en croûte. The rest of the tour will involve getting a glance into the work of a family-run winery and simply taking in the champagne hillside. Of course, there will be plenty of champagne to enjoy among the way. Number 6. Guided Champagne Making Experience. This unique 7-hour tour will culminate in you making your own champagne. You will be picked up from your hotel and the private tour will begin by taking you along the UNESCO cultural heritage sites that litter the Champagne hillside. You will then take part in 3 workshops that will give you an introduction to everything involved in champagne making. The first of those workshops will teach how to turn the bottles and you will be able to test your speed. Following this, you will seamlessly move into blending and tasting your own champagne. Your last class will give you an insight into everything involving dosage. After you get through the classes, you will be offered a tasting of 5 of the finest wines. Make sure you grab some of the bubbles you created on your way out of the winery. After all, how many of us can actually say that we made champagne? Number 7. Exclusive Tour to Moet at Chandon and Taittinger. This tour will begin by taking you to Champagne Taittinger, one of the oldest champagne houses that remain in the original family. After delving into the history of the esteemed champagne house, you will be taken to the resting place of Monk Dom Perignon, whose name is synonymous with the finest champagne. A trip to the capital of champagne wine, Épernay, is next in store, where you will learn about the 100 km tunnels under your feet and discover names like Moet and Chandon, Perrier-Jouët, and Paul Roger that are at the top of the champagne industry. After a quick bite to eat, the tour will continue with a visit to the famous Maison de Champagne Moet and Chandon. You will be taken on a guided tour and a tasting of the great Moet champagne that we all know. This is one of the most comprehensive of the champagne tours and will fully immerse you into the history of the drink. Number 8. Ebike Champagne Tasting Tour and Lunch. This is by far the most unique champagne tasting tour available, as you will be cycling for most of the tour. Cycling along the vineyards against the backdrop of the scenic Champagne Mountains is an experience that just can't be beaten. The tour will begin with a ride from Reims to Épernay and you will have plenty of time to explore the city whose name is synonymous with champagne production. The cycling tour will continue to Hovelers, the birthplace of champagne, where you will gain an insight into the history of the beverage. Following this, you will grab a quick bite to eat at a restored champagne house before capping off your tour with a visit to one of the most prestigious producers in the region. If the weather isn't suited for cycling, you need not worry, as a minivan will be arranged for your tour.